get to singing like Patty. My nigga said he stuck in the attic. This Henny in the cup straight had me sticking to the code. My nigga street savvy. My cousin got caught with a stainless. I never showed a gun for entertainment. I'm leaving in this game with who I came with. I told him stay safe. He told me stay dangerous. Had to double back for the second batch. Following my
Yeah. All that. Hey, what if I told you that before 1619, before the story of slavery that we were all taught in school, that there was already a war happening, a war for land, for identity, and for the soul of the so-called New World. The people that we now call African Americans weren't just shipped here like cargo. Many were already here, indigenous to this land. And the others who came were taken as prisoners of war. This is the story of the system of slavery that was born from conquest, colonization, and rebellion long before the textbook began. I am your host, Danger, and this is No Backpedal. Now, the year is 1492, and Christopher Columbus sailed from Spain with three ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina. But he's not alone. With him are men chasing riches, land, and titles. Juan de la Casa, the cartographer, Alonso de Ojeda, a soldier hungry for glory, and the dozens of sailors that was promised rewards and salvation. They leave the port of Palos, Spain, on August the 3rd, 1492. After stopping at the Canary Islands to restock, they continued west, guided by faith, greed, and ambition. Of course, right? Then, at dawn on October the 12th, 1492, a sailor spots land and they drop anchor on an island that the natives call Guanahani. Columbus renames it San Salvador and claims it for Spain. But let's be real, he didn't discover anything. He invaded a land, a whole world already alive, filled with thriving nations like the Taino, the Arawak, and countless others. Over the next couple months, Columbus explored Cuba and Hispaniola, what we now know as today is Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So Cuba is still Cuba, but Hispaniola was Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So Haiti and the Dominican Republic is like, I won't say it's split because I think that the DR is a little bigger than Hades, but that used to be called Hispaniola, both of them together as one. Now, on December the 24th, 1492, the Santa Maria runs aground. So runs aground means that they were in shallow waters and they were stuck. So Columbus leaves behind 39 men to build a small settlement called La Navidad. So if you ever heard of like the Spanish song Feliz Navidad, which means Merry Christmas, um, then you will understand that La Navidad, La meaning the, and Navidad means Christmas. So their settlement was called the Christmas. And it becomes the first European colony in the Americas. And almost immediately, the first site of resistance. They wasn't playing with them. You know what I'm saying? The copper tone people, the copper colored people, they was standing on business. They was like, man, who is these pale face people, bro? For real. And when Columbus returned on his second voyage in 1493, the entire fort was burned and every man is dead, killed. Uh, Historians say by the local Taino people who had already realized that the Europeans weren't friends are saviors. They didn't need no saving. What do I need you to save me for? Like, I got the gift from God, the gift of gab, the gift of agriculture, the gift, you know, like every gift we already know. Remember, like we taught the Europeans mostly, I mean, I'm saying dark skinned people. I won't say we, because we were obviously in the Americas, is what I'm learning, right? Because we all learning together. So I'm doing this history with y'all. I'm not just trying to pose on y'all and make it seem like that I know what I'm talking about. I'm doing the research and then I'm giving what I'm researching to y'all. But like I said in previous videos, that the Moors taught Europe how to farm, how to do everything. So we already was already in. You know what I'm saying? But so the battle lines are drawn right there. Conquest versus survival. A century later, in 1587, England joins the race to claim the New World. A group of 118 settlers, led by John White, lands on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what we know now as North Carolina. They call it the New England. If you know New England, and like a lot of people that don't research things don't know this, but New England is made up of like 5 or 6 states, you know, Maine, Connecticut, uh, Rhode Island. I mean, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment down in the comment section. Let me know what's really going on. But that's the New England that we know of today. But at this time, the New England was off the coast of North Carolina, and they called it New England. But the soil, the trees, and the people already had their own story. Now, White sails back to England for supplies, and war delays his return. He finally comes back on August the 18th, 1590. The settlement is empty. No bodies, no gunfire, no graves. Just one word carved into a wooden post, Croton. But I wonder like what that came from. Like why did they leave that mark? Was it the settlers who had got caught or took that that carved that into the wooden post to let their people know that hey, y'all need to come look for us? Or was it the Croton people who carved that in there to let them know, hey, you you on our territory, you on our block, so don't come looking for your people or you gonna wind up like them, right? But the lost colony gone without a trace. Now, some historians say that they may have joined local tribes, the Croton, or the Hatteras people. But there's also another layer to this mystery. Some say that within the colony, there were servants and prisoners who refused to be enslaved, who escaped into the dense Carolina woods, disappearing into indigenous nations that look like them. Now, imagine that people that look like them. I don't know who they had with them, but I would assume that the servants are the prisoners of war, right? Were shipped from Africa, or they got them from Africa, or bought them from Africa, from Africans, because Africans were having wars with groups and taking their people as slaves and then selling them to the Europeans. But either way, these people look like them, the people that was already on this land, right? Runaways, rebels, blending into the land, the first fugitives of America, long before slavery was a legal term. Now, whether this is a legend or a lost truth, it sets the tone that freedom was always in our DNA. Now, moving forward to 1607, the English try again, this time in Virginia. They land at Cape Henry on April 26th and sail inland to build the fort of Jamestown on May 14th, 1607. And this becomes the first permanent English settlement. But it's not paradise. They face starvation and disease and warfare with the local Powhatan Confederacy, the real owners of the land. Right? So they first landed in 1587. They land in Roanoke Island, which is now called North Carolina. And their people disappear. Okay. Okay. And then in 1607, they come back again and they have to face the Powhatan Confederacy. I would think that this is a war. This is not somebody discovering a new land that is filled with milk and honey. So now he's sending letters back saying, because they they say that people were sending letters back saying that that the people here was dumb. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I won't say dumb, all right, but they was easily to enslave, easy to enslave, all right. But I just don't see that to be true from what I'm learning here, right? Like we're learning that people are fighting them. This is the history. The people that are here are fighting against the Europeans, the real owners of the land. By 1610, many colonists had died. Those who survived lived under military law, the laws divine, moral, and martial. They work, they fight, and they're punished harshly. To me, right, the colonists would be like the Europeans, right? So why are they being punished if they came with the people that's supposed to be, it, moving forward, it was all categorized as white, right? They told the white people that I mean, yeah, they told the white people that you better than the 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 melanin people. You better than the colored people. But these people who came to settle here, right, in Jamestown, were treated harshly. Then in July in 1619, a group of Polish and German craftsmen refused to work until they're granted the same rights as Englishmen. And then the Virginia Company gives in. This is the first recorded labor strike in American history. So I seen something that said that this is the the Burgesses, the House of Burgesses. I don't know. I don't know how to say it right. I'm saying I just seen the clip of it. So if you know what it is, then like I said, comment down. Let me know what you know about this. All right. So even before Africans are brought to Virginia, the story of labor resistance had already begun. Then it comes to August in 1619. A ship called the White Lion arrives at Point Comfort in Virginia, what's now Hampton. So if you go to the map, because I just went to the map to look at where Hampton is at, like they had to like go down and then come up in between, like you know, it was land to the right and land to the left. They chose the land to the left, Point Comfort. Okay, so this is where about 20 or some odd Africans are brought to. Like they were captured by the Englishmen from a Portuguese slave ship called John the Baptist, right? It's in Spanish, Sel Geo Batista. Right. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably butchering that name, but it means John the Baptist. And they land in Virginia. These are the first 20 Africans, 20 some odd Africans that landed here. Right. So that's crazy. That kind of like contradicts like what we said before. So I'm not sure if those first people from Roanoke Island were actually Africans, but the history says that they look like the people that was in land. So the people that was in land, if maybe they was white, if they came from Europe, right? But I would assume that servants and prisoners at that time were uh, of African descent. So this is recorded as 20 Africans that landed in Virginia. Okay. One of them was a woman named Angela. Her name still echoes through history as one of the first documented Africans in English America. Some say that they were treated like indentured servants at first. Like that's something that I heard. I heard that it wasn't like that at first. I heard that it was white slaves, Indian slaves, and African slaves, and they were able to serve for 7 years, and then uh, buy their way out of their bondage. But that could be true. It could be a myth. Like I'm listen, the like stuff that I'm talking to y'all about, eh, like I'm not like dead set on. But I do, but I have an open mind, so I'm never going to close my mind off to anything, right? And some people might say, "Oh, well you'll fall for anything." Nah, but that's not the case. I'm not going to fall for anything. I do have my core beliefs, but I'm not going to just close my mind off to some information that's being brought to me. All right. Others say that it was slavery from the start. Either way, that moment on August 20th, 1619, it became a marker. Now, it wasn't the beginning of bondage, it was the continuation of war. The same war that started when the first colonizers set foot on indigenous soil with the Taino people, right? They came, they wasn't playing that. Get the off my Get the hey, the new world. It was never new. Some people say that this is the real motherland, America. That this is the real Egypt. But we'll get to that in later videos. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got to do your own research. I'm doing the research. I'm not afraid to be wrong, right? People be getting on a podcast and they be afraid to be wrong. I'm not. Like I'm open to being corrected. But I'm gonna let y'all know what I'm learning so then y'all can do your own research and then learn on your own. It was taken, renamed, and rewritten. Our ancestors didn't just arrive in chains. Some fought in battles before the ships even came. Some escaped and blended into the tribes of the land. And some, like Angela, survived the crossing to carry on the story. But that is the cutoff, though. Where is the Angelas at? That's the cutoff. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. A lot of our grandparents told us that we had Indian in our family. I know my grandma did. I know my grandma did. Maybelle Phillips, maiden name. Her married name was Brooks. Rest in peace. She told us that she had Indian. She said that her mother was Indian, Grandma Mary. I've been doing an ancestry, but at the same time, it's like hard to trust them because of what I've been hearing about them. What I've been hearing about, I won't say the ancestry, like the like genome tree is like solid. The documents that you find on there is solid. But I also did the DNA, and it said that my DNA was traced back to Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? And but it did point in the direction of in America of Louisiana, where my grandmother is from and my actual father is from. Uh my biological father, like you feel me, is from Louisiana, and his father is from Louisiana, Alabama, and it traced back all the way to Virginia. My grandfathers, my great great grandfathers, great 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 grandfathers, all that. But I'm still learning. I'm still searching. I'm still trying to figure it out. All right. But we need to we need to get the stories from the Angelas. That's the thing. What was going on at this time in 1619? Where did y'all come from? What happened? All right. So when we talk about 1619, we often begin there as if that's where our history starts. But the truth is deeper. We weren't born as slaves. We were turned into prisoners of war. From Columbus's invasion in 1492 to the lost colony of Roanoke in 1587 to Jamestown's struggles in 1607. Every step towards civilization was a step away from freedom for someone. So to me, that says both parties was trying to be was trying to have their own civilization. The Europeans, the natives. I won't even call them natives because like that term came later, right? The and then indigenous is most likely it comes from the Europeans. But I'm gonna say the people of this soil, okay, were like we were trying to um, have our own civilization, but our civilization probably took away their civilization because a lot of the people that came over here from Europe were outcasters, like outcast people, people that was sent here to work, people that were leading the boats were chosen, right? They were the leaders, right? But the people that were sent here to work, I mean, I'm including the Europeans that were sent here because remember, like we can go back to the Moors. The Moors enslaved Europe, so they were European slaves. We already talked about that in the previous video, right? But it was a step away from freedom for someone, and yet we endured, we fought, we survived. The spirit of resistance from the Taino warriors to the lost souls of Roanoke to Angela at Point Comfort still runs in us today. We are those people. That's why we waking up right now. Because the crazy thing is that my grandmother never told us that we came from slavery. The school system told me that I came from slavery. The movies, the rallies that European people are having told me that I came from slavery. But my bloodline never told me that. So I'm trying to figure out where's the disconnect. Okay. So the next time that somebody tells you that your story began in chains, remind them that our story began in the land, this land, Turtle Island, right? Because America was named after Amerigo Vespucci. But I'm gonna do some research on that, and then I'm gonna come to y'all with that because that's crazy. This is crazy. This is wonderful. What I'm learning. Like I'm so happy. Like I'm happy that I'm getting this information. I love to learn new information, and I'm not closed off to anything. But remind them that our story began in this land, in the land, right? Our ancestors were warriors, captured but never conquered. We still free. We was free. We had to eat, so we lived on. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna dive into that later. I'm gonna dive into that later. But we was never conquered. We was fighting war after war after war after war after war on God. I promise you. Any war that you can think about in America, it was with us and them, and we didn't lose. They just used a pen and a paper to get their point across and pass that along. And indoctrinate, I guess that's the word, to uh it's propaganda. That's what it is. Propaganda. Okay. Now, I be hearing a lot of um African, believers, like they're shut off to the possibility that we could be descendants of this land. They be shut off. And my thing is that like I'm not shut off to us being from Africa, but I just need you to not be shut off to us being from America. Just like think about it, just think logically, think think about like what makes sense to you. Like if somebody came into your house right now, are you just gonna let them take your house over? Or are you gonna fight, whether it's life or death? Like that's my question. You know, give me freedom or give me death. That is a slogan or a phrase that comes from the Europeans. They said that. And you think that your people didn't say that, didn't feel that, didn't embody that? We did. And we still do to this day. Right now, you think in your mind, if a European comes up to me and tells me to go back or anything like that, that I can't, I wish it, I'll be real to yourself. You thinking in your mind right now, I smack this, and you think that these warriors, these people that lived, you are colonized, and you still think like that, and you think that the people that was raw and uncut, and that was, you know, uh, didn't think like that, then you need to recheck yourself. You think that we just came and said, "Oh yes, sir. Okay, okay, go ahead, put these chains on me. You got that gun. Thank you, thank you." And we didn't get no gun. That's all I'm saying. Learn for yourself. Think for yourself. Right. But appreciate y'all listening. People that listen all the way through. You know what I'm saying? This is no backpedal, and this is Prisoners of War. The story before 1619. I always like to say, like, share, subscribe, and click that little bell so you know when we uploading something. And I got more series of this coming. You know, this is not this is the first of many, because as I learn, I'm gonna share it with y'all. That's how it's gonna go. I'm not trying to make it seem like that I know it all, because I don't. But I have an open mind and I'm willing to learn, and I love to learn. I think that y'all should too. Right. So until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and never, never backpedal. I'm your host, Danger, and I'm out. Peace. Yep.
Trackaholic on the beat.
Danger. That chopper get to singing like Patty. My nigga said he stuck in the attic. This Henny in the cup straight had me sticking to the code. My nigga street savvy. My cousin got caught with a stainless. I never showed a gun for entertainment. I'm leaving in this game with who I came with. I told him stay safe, he told me stay dangerous. Had to double back for the second batch, following my